With that being said, we'll head over to our Storm here, who played the Mercury, a familiar foe, over 2-day games over 4 days.
Yeah, they had to weather a storm there.
Oh my goodness.
On May 11th, they were in Phoenix and they lost that 77-97. Our player of the game is Jewell Loyd with 26 points, 2 assists, and 5 rebounds. And then 3 days later, the Phoenix Mercury came to town, and that one was very close, but the Storm just couldn't hold on and they lost again 64-69. And not a surprise, our player of the game again is Jewell Loyd, and she basically had the exact same performance. Another 26 point, 3 assists, and 5 rebound performance for Jewell. Anything that stood out to you that you'd like to mention here?
I mean, we'll get to it in injury news, but obviously losing the best player in the world, your backup point guard who's performing really well this season, and not having Mercedes Russell still factors into that.
Definitely.
I know that there was some panic, but at the end of the day, you're missing 3 players who are starting caliber, or I mean, in Pip's in her regard, like six women. I'm not too worried about it. You're playing Phoenix, a team that, as we talked about to lead into the season, has a ton of talent. They obviously are still missing Brittany Griner, and we have an update on that we'll get to. But they have a ton of talent on that roster. You and I were looking at it in the press conference. That starting 5 is insane. And then to have Diamond Shields off the bench, to not have Brittany Griner still, who at times has been one of the most dominant players in the WNBA.
Speaking of dominant players, the team did hold Tina Charles to only 4 points in that second matchup. The defense overall was great. I mean, you can tell just by how much they allowed the Mercury to score in that second game. They only got 69 points compared to that first matchup where they got 97.
And you talk about, the difference there and holding the Mercury to those points. Obviously, the difference was you look over at the Storm offense. Jewell Loyd had those 26 points, which is great, but nobody else scored in double figures.
No.
That's an issue.
Yeah.
And I really liked Steph Talbot's performance, stepping up in Breanna Stewart's absence, but she did not get double points. She got 14 rebounds, which is a career high for her, but didn't hit double digits. Gabby Williams kind of struggled from the field.
She did, and then she struggled with a couple fouls to start the game.
Yep, Stewart also struggled. I didn't hit her first bucket until 5 minutes left in the third period.
Yeah.
So, it's as it's been pointed out, you need more offensive contributions from this roster. Beyond January, I think she had some tough buckets, but she could not hit from the field. And that's something we knew about. But once January and Williams are able to hit their stride from the field, then I'm more worried, if I'm another team in the league. But again, having Stewie out, having Pip out, and then not even thinking about having Russell in there, I'm not too worried about it. Like Noelle Quinn said in the press conference, see us in a couple months.
Exactly.
I think even in a month, I think they'll be fine. So.
Yeah. Moving on to, as Chuck mentioned, some injury news here. There were some untimely scratches right before the matchup with Phoenix at 4:19 p.m. on the 11th. Epiphany Prince is ruled out due to health and safety protocols. And then right after that at 5:49 p.m., Breanna Stewart is ruled out due to health and safety protocols. Stewie tweeted, "Fly commercial," they said. And she wasn't the only one that was sounding off on that. There were other WNBA players, I believe, that had concerns over the exact same thing. Stewie's health and safety protocol outfit was a Brittany Griner jersey that day. So that was cool to see. Stewie continues to support the Free BG cause and tweets every single day how many days it's been since we've had Brittany Griner back home. So moving on to the 13th here, the injury report versus the Mercury. Again, out was Mercedes Russell with that non-basketball injury, Epiphany Prince on health and safety, and Stewie on health and safety. On the 14th, there was an injury report update from head coach Noelle Quinn. Breanna Stewart and Epiphany Prince should be good to go for this Wednesday's matchup against the Chicago Sky, but there has been no official word yet. And actually, I am lying as I am saying that because we do have an update on Epiphany Prince here in a minute. Mercedes Russell continues to progress well in her rehab and on-court workouts, but there's no official word on her return. Again, not even any clarity on what that injury is.
No, and it was interesting, when we've talked about this, trying to get some sort of update from coach. But, at the practice before that last game, Russell was the only player on the court about 10 minutes after practice had ended. Shooting looked fine, but obviously it's really interesting to think about what that might be because we don't know.
Right.
And in any update that the official team has given us, it says, 3 to 5 weeks. We'll update you when we know more.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's very big.
And it's you're losing somebody who played starting minutes for you a lot last year and has, over the time that she's been in the W, has consistently gotten better. So wouldn't you want to it's an interesting situation.
When we were sitting in the press conference room, there was a question regarding Mercedes Russell for head coach Noah Quinn, and I hoped that maybe she would slip up and say at least what body part we're talking about here, but she was very good at not doing so. As we move on here to team notes, on the 11th at 4:23 p.m., the Storm announced that they would sign guard Breanna Perez to a hardship contract, likely due to the injuries to Prince and Stewart. On the 13th, the Storm announced that they signed Kayla Davis to a hardship contract as well. I don't think she saw any minutes. And then the injury report versus the Mercury again for that second matchup out. Again, the exact same people, Mercedes Russell, non-basketball, Epiphany, and Breanna Stewart on health and safety. On the 16th, which is today, the Storm released Breanna Perez, and they activated Piff. So at least we know for sure that we get her back for the matchup against the Chicago Sky. But did Stewie not join that list before her? What did I just... No? Okay.
No.
So same day, though,
we'll
right?
probably hear about that today or tomorrow, but I would expect to hear about that before Wednesday's matchup, but we'll see. Obviously, we'll talk about it with Chicago when we play them, after we play them, but you're playing against Candace Parker and the reigning defending champs. I know that they're missing a few pieces from that championship team, but it's still going to be, they're still defending their title, so it won't be easy. And having Breanna Stewart back would be huge.
It would be, yes. Moving on to some league notes here. News on Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner was honored by the Phoenix Suns. The Sun will honor WNBA star by displaying her initials, jersey number on the court for the remainder of the playoffs. And unfortunately, that did not actually go for as long because the Suns lost yesterday. So there's the end of that. Brittany Griner's pretrial detention extended by a month. And Russia lists asking price in exchange for Griner. Russia is looking to exchange Griner in prisoner swap for notorious convicted arms trafficker Victor Bout. The WNBA Players Association joins online petition demanding that lawmakers prioritize her safe return home. They said it is imperative that the U.S. government immediately address this human rights issue and do whatever is necessary to return Brittany home quickly and safely. This is not the first time that her pretrial has been extended, so hopefully it's the last. But just continuing to follow this, and hopefully Brittany Griner is home soon. Our record for the Seattle Storm sits at 1-3, and they are 5th in the Western Conference. And the words from Noelle Quinn resonate with me when she said that the Chicago Sky were 16-16 last season, and they were able to compete and win that championship. So no need to panic yet. Like Chuck said, come check them out in a month and see where they're at. Looking ahead, on May 18th, they are playing the Chicago Sky. That's a 7 p.m. game. May 20th, they are playing home again versus the LA Sparks, and that's also a 7 p.m. game. And it's important to note here that their next 7 games are at home here at Climate Pledge Arena.
Yeah, so I mean, just to again touch on that, with looking at having those 3 players out, worrying about the season at all, you've got 7 games at home.
Yeah.
You've got time to figure it out, like Loyd is talking about. You got time to practice. Get those, like Gabby Williams and Breanna January joined that roster right around the time that things began. They'll figure it out. I mean, 7 games at home is kind of unprecedented, I think, but that'll be interesting to look at. So